From Nashville, welcome to a special edition of the Dot Moore Show, coming to you from the birthplace of country music and the home of the legendary Grand Ole Opry. And now, here's Dot Moore.
Hello, and welcome to a special edition of the Dot Moore Show from Nashville, Tennessee. Nashville is a Grand Ole Opry. It's the Grand Ole Opry Park, USA. It's the mecca of the recording industry. And today, we're standing in front of the Grand Ole Opry. We brought along with us a fashion from Mobile. I'm wearing a suit in the natural shade of beige today. Just remove the jacket if you prefer, and a knit top and a skirt, wear your jewelry, and it can go all day long. One of the fabrics that looks like linen, but really an easy care. Designed by Vincenti, it can go anywhere at all, most seasons of the year, courtesy of Joann's Fashions. Well, as I mentioned, we are in front of the Grand Ole Opry, and later in today's show, I hope you'll stay with us. We'll be talking with Bill Anderson as he gets ready to perform on stage, and we'll pick up on some of the other stage presentation at the Grand Ole Opry. Also, with us from Mobile are 40 career women. We'll talk to some of them, and American Airlines District Sales Manager. But right now, these messages, stay with us. We'll be back. Welcome back. As mentioned earlier, the American Airlines is our carrier to Nashville, and we're going to talk a bit about the new Nashville connection that American has. And with us is Jean Soroka, who is District Sales Manager for American Airlines and can answer any question at all about the Nashville connection. We're glad to be able to have this opportunity to find out about it.
Well, it's a wonderful thing, Nashville, and did you enjoy your flight?
Yes, just wonderful. Good service and very comfortable.
Well, as you know, American started their service on April the 15th. And your phrase, the Nashville connection, is beautiful.
Yes.
And that's really what it is. You go to Nashville, you connect to the north and to the northeast. And it's the first for American out of Mobile. Everybody thought of us as going to Dallas and going westbound, but now you can go north and to the northeast.
So what motivated American to start this new connection?
That's really a very good question. In our industry, Dot, you see a lot of airlines merging, buying others out.
Indeed,
American's philosophy is that we'll build within. So we're building our Nashville hub. Next year, we'll build a Raleigh-Durham hub. The latter part of this year, we'll build a San Juan hub.
Ooh.
So we're expanding within our own, using our own great equipment, our own personnel. And that's the way we want it to be.
Oh, I hope we can help you spread the word when you have all these connections coming up. That's fascinating to me. It really is. Of course, in your business, the promotional matter is so important now for the public, and it's highly competitive, as everyone knows, with fares being comparatively slashed and whatever. And all of those things are new ideas that American has come up with. But Gene, I understand also that you're opening an office in Mobile.
Yes, and this is also a first. American Airlines never had a marketing office, sales office in Mobile. And I'm house hunting. I think I found a place for our sales office. We're really expanding. I have a sales associate working for me now, as a matter of fact, calling on some of our great accounts. We will have a marketing service representative when the office opens up, plus myself, and I'll probably get another person. So you see, American Airlines is really growing. And you're right, we have to let the public know what's going on. Our industry is so competitive. It changes day by day and week by week, as you know.
Yes, because we're working very hard to give Mobile a new image, as you know, and as the public at large knows. Actually, you feel, I guess, that you will be able to service your customers much easier in an office as opposed to having to go to the Mobile airport for that service.
That's right. I think they feel a lot more comfortable. In our new offices, we'll have conference room space, such as you're looking at here, but naturally quite larger. Our travel agents will be trained and updated on everything that's going on with American Airlines, and particularly our automated travel agents. You know, we have Sabre. Sabre is our reservation system. Sabre really runs American Airlines and a travel agent. And we could bring them into our office and bring our Sabre personnel in and train them on the new enhancements and new things that American Airlines is doing so that they can better, in turn, serve the customer that comes to them.
Oh, that sounds very good and very progressive. It certainly does.
It's very important. You know, we're also expanding in the European market. A few years ago, we started Paris, London, Frankfurt service. Now we're going to Manchester, England. We're going to Munich and Dusseldorf. And by the end of this year, probably, we will be flying to Tokyo.
Really?
So you see, American is really, we're really in a growth.
They're bursting out all over, really.
Well, our people are very shrewd. We're a very successful airline. Every quarter, you look at that bottom line, and American's net figure is always a profit. Last year we made over $400 million. The year before over $300 million, and we're proud of American Airlines.
I can tell
we would
that
like
you
the
are.
community out here to know, really, American is in Mobile. We're here to stay and to serve them all.
And of course, the name itself is on your side.
It means an awful lot.
That
Sure
is
does.
for sure. You spoke about the European market. What about travel as to all of the terrorism that went on? Did that not interfere in?
Oh yes, Dot, it did affect the industry. However, we're seeing right now a rapid growth, and we're hoping it'll come back to where it was. It had been a lucrative market, but terrorism did affect it.
Yeah, I guess Nancy Reagan, having gone to the wedding of Prince Andrew,
It was a great boost for
was
us.
a sort of a boost for tourism again, right?
Absolutely, and a lot of people went out to see the wedding, and I think that fear, because the securities have been so enhanced, and when the passengers come back from the European travel, all they comment on is how great the security is now.
Yeah.
That's good.
Just before we have to end this interview, tell me how safe today flying is. Is it really very safe as it always has
Yes,
been?
it's more so than ever, because greater precautions are taken in the mechanical, technological world. You see deeper interest and concerns by the airlines. They're on top of everything as far as maintenance goes, and I think you have to have a self-satisfaction in that end.
Okay, we wish you good luck. Hope you found your new home in Mobile, and we'll be checking in on you
We're
later.
looking forward to these exciting times.
It sounds like it, and I'm glad to see some enthusiasm from you, Gene
Yes, indeed.
Soroka and American Airlines. Now, when we come back, stay with us, because we'll check in with Gayfer's Career Club and a travel agent. Right now, these messages. And from the airport, here we are at Opryland Park in Nashville, and talking with, on my left, Bonnie Lamour, who is a travel agent, and on my right is Millie Long, who is fashion coordinator for Gayfer's. Let's talk to you first, Bonnie, and then we'll talk to Millie about why she's here. You, of course, did coordinate the trip through American Airlines.
Yes.
And it's been delightful so far. We had a tour of Nashville from courtesy of the Gray Lines. And now here we are at the park, and we're getting ready to enjoy that. I wanted to ask you a little bit about your background, because you've been in the travel agency business for many years, and you started in New York. Tell me how it all began. How did you get interested in it in the first place?
Truthfully, it all began because my husband said that I would never be able to work for an airline.
Oh, really?
So I went out the next day and I got a job with an airline.
And we may say that your husband worked for Air France at the time,
Yes.
and so that sort of gave you a little competitive feeling.
Yes.
Well, then you went on to progress, and at one time you did own your own agency,
Yes, I
and
did.
now you lived around the country, now you're back here. I want to ask you about tours such as we're on today. Are one-day tours very popular in your business?
By and large, no.
No?
If someone were to come to Nashville, say from Mobile, generally from our area, if they were flying up, they would probably take the time to spend the night. And most of your economical airfares and tour packages usually require that you stay over a weekend anyway, so it gives the person more vacation value for more time.
I see. Well, now let me ask you this about planning trips for people. How is the European market now? Has it sort of simmered down after all the terrorist scare?
It did. This has been a very unfortunate year for Europe.
Yeah.
People have not wanted to travel to Europe. I think things have picked up, especially with the marriage in England
Yes.
and Nancy Reagan going over. However, there have been some wonderful alternatives to Europe this year, and people have been taking advantage of them. Hawaii, cruises, things of that nature.
Yes, well, when I spoke with Gene Soroka of American Airlines earlier, he more or less said the same thing about it, but I wanted to get the travel agent's thought on the European scene as well. How often do you have people who try to take, say, a tour of a week or so with a family, and they don't plan early enough? Is this a problem at all? Should one plan way ahead today to get on a plane and be comfortable?
One should plan way ahead for the most economical value for your money. Most people don't plan far enough ahead of time because they don't realize that while all these wonderful airfares that they advertise are available, they're not available at the time they necessarily want to go. So they should plan ahead of time.
And there are a lot of specials. That brings me to the fact that competition among travel agencies as well as airlines, of course, is beefed up. There's no doubt about that, is there?
Oh, no. With the deregulation era, competition spread throughout the airline industry, throughout the travel industry in general. Most agencies are trying to offer the clientele not only what has always been free services for their choice of vacation arrangements, but they're offering little perks here and there. A lot of agencies have contests and just whatever they can do.
To attract business,
Yes,
of course.
ma'am.
Well, there are a lot of mergers, I know, among the airlines, for instance. And possibly the travel agency business is seeing things like the banks and the airlines and swapping about a bit. And it's not easy today in the marketplace as opposed to when you were working, say, in New York.
Well, that was very cut and dry.
Yes.
And again, that was before deregulation. But I think it's a lot more challenging nowadays, and I think that there is a lot more out there as a result of deregulation for the flying and the traveling public, a lot more interesting things and economical destinations for them to go to.
Well, I hope you put some more of these goodies together and that we're aboard from Channel 10, enjoying it so far. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Bonnie Lamore talking to us about coordinating our tour. Now we're going to talk with Millie Long and tell you why she was on board the flight with us. Millie, it's always a pleasure to see you, and I guess people are wondering why we're both here. I'm here courtesy of American Airlines to talk about the Nashville connection, and tell us why you came on this flight particularly.
Well, we are the guests, and when I say we, Gayfers Career Club, we're the guests of American Airlines, and they were kind enough to bring us here to Nashville, and we have just had a wonderful time.
Oh, this morning's tour was exciting, wasn't it?
It really was. You know, thinking about Mobile and how interested we are in development in our community, I was interested that here in Nashville, their first claim to revenue comes from the printing industry, and second from the Grand Ole Opry, and third from tourism.
Yes.
So it does give you stimulating ideas and thoughts to go to another city, I think, and find out how they do things.
I agree with that, and I'm sure you notice as I did, a lot of the development going on along the highways and the different buildings being erected and things like that. It looks like a very progressive city. Now tell me about Gayfers Career Club. You have 40 career ladies with you today.
That's
Is this
right.
something that you do now and again with the career club? Is take them on a trip or accompany them on a trip like that?
Oh, they love to go on trips.
Yeah.
We do love to go on trips. We do have conventions once in a while.
Oh, really?
We're trying to develop career clubs in every Gayfers store, so of course it's fun to all get together.
Yeah.
We've been to Clearwater and Fort Walton Beach and so forth, but right now we're very much into our career awards program, and so I was really glad that we had this opportunity to be together and go somewhere and discuss along the way what our plans are. You know, Dot, each year we select 10 outstanding career women in Mobile and give them awards, and one community service winner. And that's going to be October 25th this year. So this has been just great for us.
Oh, I think it has too. I had an opportunity to talk to a few of the career women along the way while we were here today, and to find out what they were connected with and what their profession is and whatever. And I was just amazed how many different variations are represented in your career club. Are you enjoying this trip?
Yes, I've had a wonderful time today. I've gotten to know the girls that I've been in the club with for the last 3 years a lot better, and we've had a real good time.
How long have you been in Gayfers Career Club?
I've been in Gayfers Career Club 2 years now.
Well, are you enjoying this trip?
We've had a great time today. It's really been marvelous. We've done a lot of things and just had a good time being together.
We absolutely loved it. It was a great time, a chance to get away and do something that you don't get the opportunity to do very often.
Each person represents a different organization or a different firm from Mobile. And in that way, we do have a limited number. I can't have more than 50 in the club, and they're in for 2 years.
Oh,
and,
really? That's because you have
right.
so many that want to be in. Is that right, that you have to set a limit? Because you just answered the question I didn't ask you. I was going to say how many people are in it. So there is a limit.
50 people, and we probably will always keep it at 50, I think.
Well, you'll have to start having like they do high school and college reunions as the years roll by and get them all together at one time and another, even though they're not active anymore. We have about a minute here, and I can't let you go, Millie, without telling me about going to market and what's going to be the fall fashion look. What are the best colors this fall?
Oh, the fashions are wonderful, and the brights are in. Green does happen to be a very important color.
And so you're head of the line right away?
Well, I try to, try to keep up with it all.
Yeah,
and
right.
Bright yellow is very big, and black and white, once again, very, very dominant as basics.
Great.
And brights, you'll find, are going to be more important than the paler colors for quite a while now.
Well, thanks for those tips, and we'll see you along the way. It's always a pleasure to talk with you on camera, Millie. And Bonnie, you too. And Bonnie and I have been friends for many years. We've traveled together before, but we've never done it as formally as we did today, as travel agent and TV hostess. Okay, now stay with us. We're going to be in this park. This Opryland Park is fantastic, and we'll show you a bit of it and give you some treats along the way. Right now, please hear this. You know, Nashville has a lot to offer tourists, and while here, the Gayfers Career Club women and the Dotmore crew had an opportunity to see, among other sights, the building where Ernest Tubbs and his group of music makers played until the wee hours of the night. The recording studio of Sun Records, who record such artists as Dolly Parton and Tammy Wynette. Now this is Music Row, where the action is in the industry, including the studios of MCA and United Artists and more. Now we get a look at the home of the popular Grand Ole Opry comedy star, Minnie Pearl. And from there into Opryland, USA. Now Opryland Park is an amusement park that's filled with exciting rides and thrills for every age group. The park has a man-made rampage that thrills tourists from all over the country. But the main attraction is the Grand Ole Opry itself. Still popular, still broadcast over WSM, and presenting some of the most popular and successful country stars. We caught up with one of the more popular recording artists backstage just before his performance, Bill Anderson.
We're glad to have you folks in Nashville.
Yes, we're delighted, and I'm looking forward to your performance, and so far I've enjoyed all of the performances on the stage. I understand that we're going to get into exactly some things about the Opry, but first of all, I understand you also have your very own TV show on the Nashville Network. Tell me about that.
Yes, I do. I host a country music game show, trivia show
really?
called Fandango every day on the Nashville Network.
They're sort of exciting, aren't they? I mean, the audience is up, and do you enjoy
I got
that?
into game shows back in the late 70s. I did a game show out in California on ABC called
Really?
Better Sex with Sarah Purcell. And that was in 1977 and 78. And I began guesting on a lot of the game shows, and it became something that I liked a lot. And when I had the chance here at the Nashville Network to combine my love for country music and what I enjoy doing in the way of a game show, then it kind of was a great marriage of two things that I really enjoy. So doing a country music game show is kind of like rolling off a log for me.
In fact, it's unique that you should have the two together because you're so involved in both and love the country music and the game shows. Well, I'm glad to hear that. Now, tell me this. You are a regular member, of course, of the Grand Ole Opry. Do you
25 years this month.
Is that a fact? And do I have this right? The Grand Ole Opry is celebrating their 60th anniversary as so on WSM. And That's fantastic.
I missed the first few years, but I've been here for
Oh,
25
I know
of them.
that, but I mean, it's been here that long, and I'll bet when it started, somebody said, well, that'll probably last a few years.
Yeah.
But that's wonderful. Now, tell me this, are you recording some of the time, or are you into that, or how is that
Oh,
set?
sure. Yeah, we all have to record. That's the
Yeah.
lifeblood of our
Yes,
business.
you
know,
record
sure.
right here in Nashville, of
Well,
course.
most of the time. I've gone to Atlanta and recorded recently, which is kind of interesting because I grew up in Atlanta, and it was kind of fun to go back down there and work with some of the people again.
I know there have been many changes in the music industry per se since you were involved, or even in the last 8 or 10 years there have been changes. Do you think there have been very many in country Western music or your style of
Well, see,
music?
there's one right there. We don't call it country
You don't call
Western
it that
music
anymore. I
Don't
knew
call
that.
it hillbilly music
I
anymore
knew it
either.
when I said it, yeah.
Well,
Right.
there's been a lot of changes in country music. You know, the only thing really that's constant about music, and this is any kind of music,
Yeah.
is it's constantly changing. I mean, rock and roll is not the same as it was in the 50s.
Well, that's
Pop
true.
music is not, and country music is.
But somehow country music still sounds basically the same. It has that wonderful beat of its own and tells that story that's sometimes sad and sometimes not. And also, you were very active in other fields, one of them being Po Folks
I
Restaurant.
thought you'd never mention that.
Got to get the commercial
Oh,
in.
yeah, I tell you something. The folks down in Mobile, Pensacola, and that
Oh.
area have sure been good to Po folks, too. They've been just super. We
It's
appreciate it.
very popular down our way. I know that. Do you have any idea how many there are in the chain?
Yes, ma'am, exactly.
You know
176 in 26 states.
Isn't that amazing? Well, the food's delicious. It's reasonable.
Well, we're awful proud of it. It's something that I can be very proud to go out and talk
Yeah.
about. You know, when an entertainer endorses something, he really kind of puts his own reputation on the line.
True.
So every time somebody in a restaurant somewhere fries chicken, they're putting Bill Anderson's
They may
neck on the
say,
line.
hey, I didn't like that. I'll never watch him again. I'll listen to him
Well,
again.
don't do that.
But that's why you have to keep it good, isn't
Well,
it?
that's one of the reasons I was proud to be associated with it and have been
Yes.
proud to be associated with it all
What
along.
about your performances here at the Grand Ole Opry? Are they every weekend or so? Or how does that work? I
There's
really
no
don't
set
know.
schedule. There's no real pattern. Don't feel alone. We don't know either, and we perform
Oh,
here.
really?
We feel like as members of the Opry, and I think I can speak for most of us who've
Sure.
been here for a while, we feel like that the Opry is the reason that everything is in Nashville. The Opry is the reason there's a country music industry because it was here and it survived when everybody else gave up. So whenever I'm in Nashville, and I tour a lot, and I'm out on the road a lot for Po Folks, and I'm out on the road doing concerts, but when I'm not out on the road, I'm here at the Grand Ole Opry. Now, for example, I'm working the Opry early this particular night because I've got a matinee tomorrow afternoon up in western Pennsylvania. So
Really?
we'll travel all night to get up there. But I feel like I owe it to the Opry, and I'm proud to be a part of the Opry. And so I made an extra effort to come out here and be a part of it today and tonight, and then leave and go on tour.
Great. Well, it's your true love. There's no doubt about that. One of them anyway. And I know your other true love I just met out in the hall, your young son, Jamie. And do you want him to go very quickly? We're out of time. You want him to be a singer?
He wants to be a drummer. He's played
wants to be a
drums with me
drummer.
professionally on some television shows and all. So if he wants to do it, fine. If he doesn't want to, then it's
We're
up
going to
to
let
him.
you go now. We're going to watch your performance. Thanks for the time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Nice to have you here.
Break a leg, as they
I
say.
probably will.
Well, we have to bid you goodbye from Opryland Park, USA. It's the only musical theme park in the world, and a beautiful display of everything you always wanted to see and hear. You can hear the music from the Grand Ole Opry as we say goodbye, and thank our carrier, American Airlines, for bringing us here, and Gapers Career Club for being with us as well, and our travel agent, Bonnie Lamore, and Bill Anderson from the Grand Ole Opry. We hope you enjoyed our show as much as we enjoyed bringing it to you. Next week, we'll see you with another good show, so stay happy and have a good week. Thank you for joining us.